Okay. So this is pre-revolutionary era. We're still reviewing on Monday. To all these great people that are still here, I appreciate you all, and I love you all to death. All right, so this is pre-revolutionary America, or what we call like colonial America. This is like the development of a true colonial America. Pre-revolutionary plus colonial America. Colonial America. All right, here are the words. Here are words that you want to associate. Salutary neglect. Mercantilism. Do you guys remember that? Mercantilism. What was the first one I said? Huh?
American identity.
Oh, American identity? Oh, yeah. Creation or development. Development's a better word because it means it's slow progressing. Of American identity. Any other terms that we want to know for sure about this one? Self-government. Some self-government. The triangle trade would plop into this. Another thing that goes along with salutary neglect. Does anyone remember what Great Britain was neglecting? What laws they were neglecting? Yeah, the Navigation Acts. They are being neglected for the most part. They're being neglected. Another word that you should associate with pre-revolutionary and colonial America would be social mobility. Is there going to be less or more social mobility than in Europe? More. There's more of it than in Europe. You have more freedom. You have more ability to make your own way, to start your own business, to start your own farm, whatever it's going to be. There's more social mobility. So let's talk about how these things kind of play into each other. So Great Britain between the 1650s up to the American Revolution, there's a series of navigation acts. So starting in the 1650s is when we get these navigation acts. But they're pretty much not enforced. Some of the specific acts, such as the Wool Act, the Hat Act, the Iron Act, were trying to prohibit or keep America from producing manufactured goods. Why? Because Britain's also trying to develop their production of manufactured goods. So when we talk about the triangle trade, when we were going over that and I was drawing it incorrectly on the board, the triangle trade, what comes from Great Britain to the Americas is manufactured goods. Let me say that again. In the triangle trade, the things coming from Europe and from Great Britain specifically to America are going to be manufactured goods. Okay? Things that would be included in that: firearms, shoes, furniture, ceramic ware, that kind of stuff. That's manufactured stuff. Firearms, shoes, furniture, ceramic ware, and lots more. Things that are coming from the United States, right, to Great Britain are going to be food, tobacco, lumber for ships. We have lots of lumber in the New England region. They're raw materials and food. Things that are coming from Africa, we said, are going to be slaves and then gold as well. All right. So, Another result of this salutary neglect, because Great Britain largely neglected, in a nice way, largely neglected the colonies, it resulted in more of this. So this results in more self-government. You get more hands-off approach by Great Britain, the more you let the colonies kind of develop their own identity. Most colonies had a governor appointed by the King of Great Britain. Most colonies had a governor appointed by the King of Great Britain. However, most colonies also had their own form of legislative branch in which they elected officials. So you still have a governor, right? That's going to be there from the king, but you're going to have your own legislative branch that's some sort of colonial legislature. These legislatures dealt with local matters like taxes. They also would have decided whether or not taxes are going to go to the church and that kind of stuff. Governors came to depend on funding from this tax revenue to run the colony. So a governor can make an order, but if the colonial legislature doesn't give tax money for it, it's hard for the colonial governor to have more of a say. So in many instances, the colonial legislatures were able to exercise a good deal of leverage over the royal governors. Much like today, by the way, if President Obama wants to pass a bill or give an executive order, say President Obama wants to send troops into Syria, Congress, they have to approve money to be released to have that money spent. So if you're going to be spending money, it's called the power of the purse. All right. Let's do the lead up to the Revolutionary War. 1756 starts what? Yeah, it's the French and Indian War. The French and Indian War is fought primarily by two sides. It's the British and the colonists. And we'll stop. We'll get our way up to the American Revolution, and then we'll stop. Okay, so we'll get the events going up to that. The First Continental Congress, Second Continental, we'll go through those. So it's the British and the colonists against the French and the Native Americans. Can anyone raise your hand and tell me why there were tensions between the French, the Native Americans, and the colonists? Yeah. Yeah, they were disputing over land. Do you remember where that land was? What region? Alyssa, do you remember?
Ohio River Valley?
Yeah, it's the Ohio Valley, or the Ohio River Valley. Is that territory? It's the disputed territory. Good job. It's the Ohio River Valley. And so we originally start fighting them in 1754. This is also the same year of what? Some conference. God bless you. It's not the Yachu conference, but, huh? It's the Albany Conference. Put together by who? Ben Franklin. It's a failure, but this is a first kind of attempt of the colonies to start organizing, but it doesn't work a whole heck of. It's not very effective. So you get the Albany Conference. After 2 years of fighting, by the way, this is the time period where George Washington is going to be seeing his first action. It's a very young George Washington. He gets captured by the French in this war. The British join in and help us start fighting in 1756. They had been fighting the French all over the world in different places. So the French join in 1756. This war is a victory for who? Who wins it? British and the colonists win this war. That's important because they are going to be kicked out. Well, the French are going to be kicked out north to Canada for the most part. Native Americans are progressively going to be pushed which way? Yeah, they're progressively getting pushed more and more this way, to the west. Or killed off, or, tried to be integrated into society, which doesn't happen hardly at all. So the French and Indian War goes down. And then we get a whole string of events which lead us up to which lead us up to the Revolution. And I want to go through them. I think I have a good note card on here of all the ones that we would need to know. Let's see. Let's see if I do. Might be real. That's pretty good. Hold on. Hold on. Here it is. Here it is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Found them. Okay. So, as a result of the French and Indian War, there's two major results. One is that the French are going to be largely kicked out of mainland North America. They're going to be, or what is the former British mainland North America. So the French are removed from British mainland North America, meaning basically they're kicked up to Canada. They go to Canada. So that's one effect. A second effect that's important is that this starts the development of tensions between the British and the colonists. French and Indian War goes till 1763, right? 56 to 63, 7 years. Just 12 years later, we are at war with Great Britain. 12 years after the French and Indian War, we are going to war with Great Britain, and we're fighting our own Revolutionary War. So let's do this timeline. You guys want to make a quick timeline? And we could be done after that? Is that okay? Can you hang in there for a timeline? Okay. I appreciate you guys being here. I really, really do. All right, let's do this timeline. Let's make it from... Yeah. So let's go 1763 all the way to 1783. Why is 1783 important? Yeah, is that the Treaty of Paris? Did I do that right? Is that it for sure? Okay. So it's 20 years. That's a really easy way to remember. 20 years on the nose between the end of the French and Indian War and the end of the American Revolutionary War. Let me say that again. 20 years between the end of the French and Indian War and the end of the Revolutionary War. Yeah, Annie. Yeah, so it's the Treaty of Paris, and yeah, is it called the second? What do we call the? And it's just with the dates, right? It's not, yeah. So they're both called the Treaty of Paris. The only distinction is you just have to put the date. Although, you know what? If you don't remember the dates, I mean, you could just say the Treaty of Paris and it would work for either. So as long as you use it in the right context, it doesn't matter. All right, let's just quickly go through this. So, French and Indian War. First thing that's going to go on our line in 1763 is going to be what? Yes, but then, so Treaty of Paris, and then the same year, what else happens? There's a Treaty of Paris and the Proclamation of 1763. That's a big date. This forbids us to go west of the Appalachian Mountains. It results because of Pontiac's Rebellion. So really it's Pontiac's Rebellion, which is the same year. Pontiac's Rebellion into the Proclamation. Next thing. The next important one is the Sugar Act of 1764. This is the Sugar Act, 1764. Sugar Act. This taxes sugar coming into the colonies. Cracks down on sugar smuggling. Oh, so there's another big one. Instead of being tried by a jury of your peers, you're now tried by British judges. Yeah, those are called do you guys remember this? The Vice Admiralty Courts. Do you remember that? Vice Admiralty Courts. Next one is an important one, very important one, 1765. 1765. I guess I could, yeah, I'm going close enough. This is the Stamp Act. Stamp Act is the first of what? No, that's a good guess, but it's not at all.
Internal or direct?
It's the first direct tax. The first direct tax. Which is important. People have a big old fuss about this in the United States. It's a drastic change. It affects all colonies. Do you remember what the response of Americans is during this? Alyssa, do you remember? The Stamp Act Congress. Good. So the response is the Stamp Act Congress. Zach, do you remember by chance what the document they produce is called? Anyone remember what that document was called? Stamp Act Congress. It's called the Stamp Act something. It's not the resolution. It's the Stamp Act Declaration. It says we read this in class. It was way long ago. But we read it, and it's got several points, and it's like I said it was like a proof. I don't know if you guys remember this. I was like, number 1, we are British subjects, loyal British subjects. Point. Where is it? Which one? No, that's the Declaration of Independence. But that's pretty good too. Number 1, we are loyal British subjects. Number 2, as loyal British subjects, we we have specific rights. Number 3, here are a list of some of those rights. Number 4, we're not being given those rights. Number 5, we would respectfully like to be given those rights. Or number 6, we're not going to pay the stamp tax. Please consider this your lovely friends, the colonies. And it's like this very, very, very nice way of saying, please, we don't think this is fair. There also are some more like what I call grassroots type responses in which people are like beating up stamp tax collectors. They're, punching them in the face. We read that thing about like them hanging the effigies. Is that what you were going to say? The effigies of stamp tax collectors. So there's more violent responses, and then there's the more like high-level appropriate responses. The next one is going to be in 1767. This one's not quite as important, but also sort of important. The Townshend Acts, Townshend, Townshend Acts, 1760. What did I say? 1767. The next one is a big one. The next one is the Tea Act of 1773, which, it's really odd. The Tea Act actually lowers the imports on teas, but it gives a monopoly to the British tea companies, and Americans don't like it when the British are forcing them to buy tea from the people they say to buy it from. And what does it result in? The Tea Act? The Boston Tea Party. (1773). 1773 tea. Huh? 1773 tea. All right, never mind. Boston Tea Party is in 1773. I'm trying to give you guys a way to remember that. 1773 tea. Yeah, Nathan.
Isn't there something that after the Stamp Act of Congress when Britain said, like, we aren't going to tax you now, but we can?
Oh, yeah. That's after the Intolerable Acts are put on. So Yeah, let's go through it. Hold on. I think I have it right here. It's what it's called is the declaratory acts, where it says, okay, we're going to remove these taxes on you, but we can tax you if we want to. Do I have it on there? I can't remember which. I think it's after the intolerable acts. Is it after the intolerable acts? I think it's after the Stamp Act ones.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think you're right. So after this, they repeal the Stamp Act. It's repealed. See you guys. It's repealed, but then what?
What's going on tonight?
Huh?
You're putting-
Tonight, yeah, but you gotta give me an hour or two because it's gonna upload. So yeah, but yeah, they'll go on tonight. They're repealed, and but then they give the declaratory acts, but you don't have to necessarily know that. All right. So then the Tea Act, and it results in the Boston Tea Party, and then the Boston Tea Party directly results to the next event, which happens in 1774, which are what? Well, no, the Boston Massacre is actually in 1770. Sorry, I forgot that. 1770 is the Boston Massacre. Good thing you said that, because I would have forgot to put it on there. Boston Massacre is in 1770. It has nothing to do with this Tea Act or the Boston Tea Party. This is the coercive, or also known as the intolerable acts. Same thing. Nathan, you are right. It is after the Stamp Act that those declaratory acts. Coercive or intolerable acts. This closes the port of Boston. It also forces Bostonians to house soldiers in their homes. Massachusetts government is all but shut down. And by 1775, we have what? Shots being fired. Yeah, Lexington and Concord. Now we got to put in, the only things we got to put in are the Continental Congresses. The first and second Continental Congresses. So we make sure we get those. So, Congress, car actions. First Continental Congress meets in the same year as these coercive acts. I think it's in 1774. Does anyone have their notes from way back in the... Do you have them right in front of you? Here, you know what? Don't worry about it, Olivia. You don't have to do that unless you can find them quicker than I can. I want to make sure I got the date. I don't have the date right in front of me of these for the Continental Congresses. I don't want to mess them up.
For the second Continental Congress, I have 1775.
1775. What's the first one? 1774.
The first one is, I don't have a date for it.
I don't either. I don't know why I don't. Hold on. We're almost done. Oh, here it is. 1774. So, as a response to make sure you guys see this. I'm going to go through this one more time real quick. As a response to the coercive acts, the colonists formed the First Continental Congress. All right. After the First Continental Congress, fighting begins, and the first fighting breaks out at Lexington and Concord. Bunker Hill happens right after this. Bunker Hill is the first major battle, Bunker Hill. And once the first major battle has broken out, the Second Continental Congress is going to form. This is the Second Continental Congress. 1775. It's 1775 still. So there's same year, all the same year. So, important things that the Continental Congress produces is They are also the ones that are going to write the Declaration of Independence. What else do they write? Something big. Yeah, the Articles of Confederation are going to be written by the Second Continental Congress. They also make George Washington the leader of the colonial. George Washington is the leader of the colonial army. Or what's called the Continental Army. That's actually the technical term, Continental Army. I should put that down. Continental Army. All right. So let me go through this one more time. Just full through. And I'm going to bring our little iPad over so we can kind of see it better. Sorry that got a little funky. All right. So going in. Pontiac's Rebellion, 1763. Same year as the Treaty of Paris. It results in the Proclamation of 1763. You can't move west of the mountains. Sugar Act, 1764. We're going to stop smuggling in the colonies. Oh, by the way, if you're caught smuggling, you're not going to a trial with your colonial peers. It's British Vice Admiralty courts. Stamp Act, 1765. First direct tax results in the Stamp Act Congress and some rioting in the New England region. It is repealed, but Britain says, we could still tax you if we want to. Don't make us do it. Declaratory acts. Townshend Acts, 1767. More taxes on stuff like wool and iron and things like that. Boston Massacre, 1770. The Tea Act in 1773, leading to the Boston Tea Party, which leads to the British responding by implementing the Coercive Acts or the Intolerable Acts immediately. From the Intolerable Acts, the colonies form the First Continental Congress. It's a meeting with, do you remember how many? How many of the colonies? 9. Wasn't it 9? No, you're right. No, 12. This is 9. 9 colonies at the Stamp Act Congress, 12 of 13 at the First Continental Congress. Well done. 12 of 13 at the First Continental Congress, and how many at this one? 13 of 13 at the Second Continental Congress. After the Coercive Acts and the Continental Congress meet, the first fighting breaks out at Lexington and Concord. First major battle is Bunker Hill. Second Continental Congress forms. Declaration of Independence is going to be 1776. When are the Articles of Confederation ratified? They are ratified 81. I think you're right too. I think it is 1781. Can anyone second that? Yeah, 1781. These are 1781, and this is immediately. Major battle in the war that you guys should know is Saratoga. Saratoga is a turning point. Why? The French joined the war on the side of Americans. That's in 1777. 1777 is Saratoga, and the French joined the war. And the final battle is going to be the Battle of Yorktown. Do we remember this? Battle of Yorktown, which is in 17... When is Yorktown? 1781. 1781 is Yorktown. One other thing is that there's a couple battles that are morale boosters, which are the Battle of Trenton. That's where George Washington crosses the Delaware River. Do you remember this? And
Is that one on Christmas?
yeah, yep, the one on Christmas morning, absolutely. And then the Battle of Yorktown is going to be the final battle in which the British are going to give up on their. We don't kill every last British person. They just give up on trying to reconquer us. Treaty of Paris, 1783, is the end of the Revolutionary War. The Constitutional Convention is when? 1787 is the Constitutional Convention. This is So, from 1781 to 1787 is how long the Articles of Confederation are in place. It's not that long at all, just 6 years. All right, that was another 30 minutes on the nose. We'll stop there. Again, there's the... Let's walk through so you can see. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right.